Hi there, so this is the story of the three witches commemorated by that statue there that were hanged on this very spot, in fact from that tree over there, about 180 years ago. What's that got to do with business sales? Well, I'm a business broker. I've had 20 years of selling businesses, and I'll tell you how the three hanged witches has a connection back to business sales. So we're in a public park right in the middle of Auckland. The park is known as the Domain. So at about 1850, this area was a bit of a swampland. It's an old volcanic crater. Auckland is built on over 50 volcanic craters, extinct volcanoes. And this was set aside by the then governor of Auckland, or governor of New Zealand, as a public park for Aucklanders. Now it remains the oldest public park in the country and also one of the largest. But in this very park, and in fact from that tree behind me there, three witches were hanged. Now the story goes, it was about 1850, 1855, as I said, bit of a swampland here, and they used that tree to hang the three witches. But why did they do that? Well, we don't know for sure why they were hanged. Maybe they were witches, maybe they weren't. Maybe they were just outside of society's norms at the time and people didn't relate to them, didn't like that, and so they were hanged. Now the story is pretty murky. There's not a lot of detail. We don't know what crime they committed. We don't know if it was a lynch mob that hanged them or if it was done under the auspices of the government or the law at the time. But the way the story works is, from that tree, the three witches were hanged in this park. So as I said, we're in a park called the Auckland Domain, or just known as the Domain. The Maori name for this area was Pukekawa, which loosely translates to the Hill of Bitter Memories. That has nothing to do with the three witches that you see behind me, but it's probably an indication of how this area was viewed by the Maori and by the first citizens, or the first European citizens of Auckland. So it's a pretty spectacular park nowadays. There's cricket fields, there's the National War Memorial Museum, there's gardens, there's plenty of gardens, there's greenhouses, there's all sorts of things. It's actually the site of the first liberation of mallard ducks and rainbow trout, or steelhead as they were known then, into the country. So there's a lot of both European history here and Maori history. It was a disputed area amongst the iwi of the time, so lots and lots have gone on here, including the hanging of three witches. So the story of the three witches, the story of the three witches hanged from that tree over there, it's been around a long time. So if you Google three witches, Auckland Domain, you'll see plenty of evidence of this. You'll see lots of people reporting sightings. You'll see lots of stories about it, and you'll see all sorts of stuff on social media about the three witches depicted in that statue and hung from that tree here in the park. There's plenty of people on social media who have purported to have seen ghostly apparitions, to have seen the spirits of these three witches haunting this area of the park. Now the area just behind there's a little lane that travels down. It was a popular courting spot, shall we say. It was known colloquially as Lover's Lane, and people report seeing at night ghostly shadows moving through the trees. They purport to hear the cacklings of maybe an old hag or an old crone. There's plenty of reports of trees rustling and ghostly apparitions flitting through the trees at night. So it's definitely not somewhere you want to go at night. Now, I'm not sure how true those stories are. Maybe a little bit of alcohol was involved, perhaps. But either way, these stories have persisted for years and years and years. And I was a very young fella, used to come here, so that's well, more years ago than I care to remember. But I was told about these stories, and the story of the three witches was alive and well even then. So it's been around for a very, very long time. But do check out social media, do a Google search of the three witches of the Domain, and you'll see the whole story about these three witches. Well, that's all very well, but what are the three witches hanged in the main got to do with business sales? Well, I'll come to that, but just a little bit more about this area. So this area is known as the Watson's Bequest. Now, the money donated by a gentleman named Mr. Watson back in 1955 allowed the council to build this pond that you can see. It's called a reflection pond, and of course the statue behind the pond was erected at the same time. So this has been here since about 1955, and it was commemorating the 100-year anniversary of Auckland City and the 100-year anniversary of this area being designated a public park. So if you're enjoying this video, and I certainly hope you are, there's a button made just for people who are enjoying the video. It's called the like button. It's just below. Just click that, give it a like. If you're feeling generous, you can click the super thanks to say thank you, and subscribe. So if you can do one of those three things, I would be much appreciated. Thanks very much. Let's get back to the video, shall we? So this story has been around at least 100 years, if not longer. There are records of the story going back almost as far as the domain itself, but it's just that. It's a story. There is no basis in fact to it whatsoever at all. There is nowhere is there any proof that three witches were hanged from that tree behind me there. No basis in fact at all. It's become an urban legend. Now, if you repeat a story often enough, you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes fact. And so too does urban legends, and that's how urban legends are actually created. There is a story that is repeated often and often and often, and it becomes fact. It's the way politicians work. They will tell a lie long enough, often enough, until people believe them and it becomes a fact. And that's what happened to the three witches that were hanged here in the domain. What's that got to do with business sales? Well, it's pretty simple. So the eagle eyes amongst you will probably notice when you're looking at that statue that it can't be a statue to three witches. Why not? Because the one in the middle is a guy. So at best it's two witches and a warlock, but it's not a statue to three witches. So who's it a statue for then? It's a sculpture by W.H. Wright, and it's to represent wisdom, strength and fertility, and it's to commemorate Auckland's anniversary. Nothing more, nothing to do with three witches. And that's what it's got to do with business sales. Let me explain. There is so much incorrect information, urban legends, urban myths if you like, about business sales. What you can do, what you can't do, what you should be contracting, what you shouldn't be contracting. And people say it so many times, they say these things all the time, they become truths. Now, don't be fooled by urban legends about business sales. Talk to a good business broker. Now, a good business broker, that will be me, happy to talk anytime. I'll cut through the urban legends, I'll cut through the rubbish, the bullshit, whatever you want to call it, and I'll tell you absolutely the truth about business sales. No urban legends here. So give us a call, love to hear from you. Email me, leave a message down below, love to talk. So one thing that isn't an urban legend, and it's how supply agreements can damage your business. If you want to know more about supply agreements damaging or even destroying your business, have a look at that video up there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you over there. Cheerio.